Hey, Wendy,
Yes.
are you in the office or are you?
Yes.
Okay, so you're going to run the slides then?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. All right, just didn't know. So.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, folks. Wendy, you're all right if we get started?
Yes, go ahead. Thanks, Denise.
All right, thank you. Hello, everybody. Welcome today to we're going to have a nice presentation regarding veterans outreach and how we can assist our veterans, our family members, our friends, our local veterans that we work with every day, um, trying to help them deal with some of the stressors that come with being out of the service. It's certainly something that weighs heavy on a lot of us. We all have issues ourselves as we deal with the COVID, as we deal with the situation with school shootings and other shootings that are going on, and that kind of stress. And then you can imagine what it's like for veterans. So Wendy Karish, our veteran special emphasis program manager, um, decided to host this conference today with our special guest speaker, Manshi Ramdas, who I think goes by, is it Ram Manshi that you go by?
Yes, ma'am. Ram.
Ram, nice to meet you, Ram.
You too.
And our special speaker today is here to give us some overview and enlighten us on some things that we can do to help our local veterans. And if those who are on are veterans themselves, I hope you can take some of these tips that RAM is providing and take them home with you. So I just wanted to welcome Ram today. Um, he served as the Veterans Outreach Manager in the Department of Agriculture, Office of Partnerships and Public Engagement. Military Veterans Agricultural Liaisons in the Office of the Secretary. So folks, we have the honor of having someone from the Office of the Secretary here today. And I can't thank you, Ram, enough for being part of this, this event today. It's also a very Memorial Day is coming up this weekend, and I know my family as well as others. It's a very thoughtful day that we sometimes we get kind of a little taken away by the family get-togethers and the over and all the good fun that we can have on Memorial Day. But it's also a good day for reflection for what our veterans have done for us. In his role as the outreach manager, RAM provides customer-friendly and responsive service to veterans, transitioning service members, and military spouses in regard to employment, education, and entrepreneurships. Since 2010, He has served at USDA in various capacities and positions. In addition, he served as the USDA Director of Diversity and Inclusion, USDA Veterans Employment Program Officer, and the Florida Communities of Prosperity Liaison. Prior to all his work with USDA, Ram worked at the Defense Intelligence Agency as a diversity and inclusion specialist and a special emphasis program manager that instituted their SCPM program for that agency. Before his working for the Defense Intelligence Agency, Ram served in the U.S. Army from 1984 to 2007, and he retired as a command sergeant major. Ram is married to his wife, Lisa, and they have a beautiful daughter named Asha. So, Ram, thank you so much for being on today. I also want to extend a big thank you to Wendy, who uh, developed this, coordinated this event. And Wendy, I'll turn it over to you.
And I'll go ahead and turn it over to Ram. Thank you, Denise.
All right, thank you for the introduction and the opportunity to speak to NRCS in Pennsylvania. And actually, we have a meeting with the State Department of Agriculture in Pennsylvania on the 6th of June to basically tell them what we do for vets. It's kind of like the same presentation I have here that we'll present to the State of Pennsylvania Department of Agriculture. So thank you. And Wendy, I was going to ask you, is this group, is this the Civil Rights Advisory Council, I think? Is that the name of this group or no?
We invited all Pennsylvania NRCS staff members.
Ah, got you. All right, very good, very good. So this is the whole state, and with this, Denise, are you the state NRCS
I'm the state conservationist, yes.
state conservationist? Wow, we have some big folks here. That's awesome. All right, so I was just gonna say that, can we do a 1 minute of silence before we begin? With all the things that's been happening across our country in Texas, Buffalo, the subways of New York City, and, veterans, suicide rate, farmer suicide rate, the different stressor in our nation. If we can take 1 minute of silence right now. All right, thank you very much. Wendy, do you have the slide presentation?
Yes, would you like me to share my screen
Yes.
and share the slides?
Yes, please, if you can do that. All right,
All
very
right.
good. And can you go to the next slide? All right, that's just something that we use that if I'm talking too much, you can just say Elmo and I'll move on. Next slide. That's the size of our office. We provide support to vets across the United States and overseas location. Bill Ashton is a retired Navy officer. He is my boss, and of course me. We used to have a Marine, however, he started his own business. We talk about entrepreneurship, so Matt Underwood started his own business, and now he's a businessman, so he's no longer with our team. But that's the staff, the size of it, and we were charged to provide assistance to vets across the country. We do a very good job. We're very responsive and to assist veterans. Next slide, please. And veterans don't know what we do at USDA, and they certainly don't know what NRCS has to offer. Employment opportunities, internship opportunities, pathways opportunities. It's endless. Beginning ranching and farming assistance, home loans. We do a lot. But a lot of times our vets don't receive this information. And that's one of the reasons why the Military Veteran Agricultural Liaison Office was established, and it was mandated by the 2014 Farm Bill. And it authorizes one full-time employee to manage that office and to ensure that that we reach out to vets and represent and advocate for veterans at USDA in all aspect of our business. Um, Next slide. Are there any veterans on the call? If so, you can raise your hand and put it back down. So I know the vets who are on here. All right. Nice, nice. Very good. All right, cool. Thank you very much. Thank you for your service. Um, at USDA, we're committed to serving veterans. And my boss always say, hey, vets don't know what vets don't know. Bill Ashton is from Brooklyn, New York, and he'll tell you that he doesn't know anything about farming. But myself, on the other hand, my parents were rice farmers. They used to grow rice. So I know a little bit about farming, and it is an honor to work at USDA. And as we say, vets are committed folks. They take an oath to enlistment, and after they finish their term of enlistment, they continue to serve. And as you might already know, veterans suicide rate is high. We lose around 17 vets every day to suicide. And, it's good to know about the veteran crisis line, to assist veterans that you may know. And just to give you an idea, this past Christmas, it was on the 24th, Christmas Eve. I received a text from an Army buddy that we served in Korea back in the 90s. And we stayed in touch, and I'm kind of like a support to him. I help him out a lot uh, with whatever challenges he may have. So he texted me and said, Ram, my wife and my daughter got up and left me last night. And I had the gun in my mouth, and I didn't pull the trigger. I didn't have the courage to pull it. So, what do you do when you receive a text like that? Of course, I talked to him, and then I called a crisis line, and they reached out to him. But lucky, he's alive. He didn't, um, you know, commit suicide, um, and he's still alive. And I'm in touch with him every day. from that point on. Every morning I send him some encouragement. So, you'll never know. And, not all vets are having these issues, but veterans do have these issues. So we can't put all vets in one basket and think, um, you know, that all vets have this problem. But just be aware of that crisis line and what you can do to assist veterans. And that other link that's up there, it's data where you can look up data in your county and your state to know how many vets are there, where they're at, etc. It's a very good website to go to. And encourage veterans, the ones in your community, not employed, or to maintain the DD 214. It's a disposition form 14 that without that form, you won't ever know if they're a vet or not. It kind of They'll have to provide that to receive benefits or help or assistance or anything like that. Next slide, please. And that's a sample of that VStat, that information link, the type of data that it provides. Next slide. Wendy, how much time do I have?
You have like a half hour yet.
Okay, so at 12:45 I can stop, or 12:30?
I believe I said it'd be a 30 to 40-minute presentation, so
Okay.
12:45.
All right, cool. Thank you. All right. So, we asked why veterans, and you could look at the stats here. Veterans are very dependable. Um, you know, each one of the service, it's a values-based, mission-based organization, and they have different types of values when they come. Like, the Army was loyalty, duty, respect, selfless service, honor, integrity, and personal courage. Um, it was like an acronym that spells leadership, LDRSSHIP, that we operate by. And, adaptability, tenacity, attention to detail, discipline, and teamwork. Um, those are the things that vets bring. They're very dedicated and committed and very loyal. We teach loyalty, and vets are always loyal to the organization. When my new boss came in and asked me, not Bill Ashton, but the one above him, asked me, so what can I expect from you, Ram? And I said, loyalty. It's something that I'm always loyal to the organization and the people that I work for. Next slide, please. At USDA, how you can help. I mean, we have different programs that veterans can participate as they're transitioning out of the military, and it's one of them is called the Department of Defense Skill Bridge Program. That's within the 6 months of separation from the services. A veteran can participate in a internship program with a USDA agency for up to within that 6 month window. So I'm thinking maybe 3 to 4 months, which will be free of charge to the agency because they're still being paid by the Department of Defense. And the whole idea behind the DoD Skill Bridge program, it's to give a veteran an opportunity to learn skills in a vacant position. And if they do a good job, you could possibly hire them to fill that position at the end of the internship when they separate from the service. So it's a great program to get a veteran into a vacant position in NRCS in any location, um, you know, to um, to gain experience and to prepare them to transition from the military to a civilian job. And a lot of veterans are taking advantage of this. We also have at USDA apprenticeship programs, and there are three: the agricultural commodity food grader, wildland firefighters, food inspectors. Those are apprenticeship program that are certified by the Department of Labor, and veterans can participate in those programs that will lead to permanent jobs. So I know that the Forest Service, the Food Safety Inspection Service, and the Agriculture Marketing Service have these programs. If, for example, NRCS would like to set up an apprenticeship program, I'll be willing to tell you every step that you need to do to get into to set up an apprenticeship program. If you have a high demand job, a high demand occupation, you can possibly set up an apprenticeship program to you know to create a pipeline using veterans to fill those positions. We also collaborate with the Department of Labor and those other agencies that you're looking at. The Military Spouse Employment Program is a big partnership that we have and a big focus on employing military spouses. Military spouses, the unemployment rate among military spouses, you're talking at 22%. It's the highest in the whole United States. Our unemployment rate is around under 4%. For vets, it's like 3.5% or lower. So we're doing really good with employing veterans, but military spouses, there's a high unemployment rate and a high rate of, not retaining them because they move every 3 years or maybe 2 years. And we're looking at the departmental level on how we can better assist military spouses to keep their job instead of losing their job when they move. Next slide. These are different snapshots of veterans. The first one is a vet that's in business that started her own business. Under that is a chief master sergeant from the Air Force that set up the first certified apprenticeship program at USDA with the Agriculture Marketing Service. Under that, Angela Mulder, she's a volunteer to volunteer at different nonprofit to assist veterans. And the guys that are rappelling are smoke jumpers. Folks in the Army that are airborne qualified, it's a kind of like a prerequisite to get into smoke jumping. And the other gentleman underneath, Calvin Riggleman, he's a farmer, that went home and took over the family farm. And, he is farming because we're encouraging veterans to get into farming and to ensure that we have farmers that are prepared to continue producing food in our country. Next slide. So we focus on employment. Next slide. Employing veterans. So here's a big area that we're asking you, we're asking you, what can you do for veterans? Employment, internship, pathways opportunities. Please consider veterans when you're bringing on interns or pathways students or just hiring, doing direct hire, etc., or providing internship through the Skill Bridge program or Operation Warfighter program. So with employment, that's a big way, but not only veterans, but military spouses, because that's our major drive and focus right now because of the high unemployment rate. And basically what we do is, what I do, if a veteran contact me about employment or a military spouse, I will review their resume, match it up with occupations that we may have, ensure that their resume is in a good federal format, and then we'll send it out if they qualify for um, a non-competitive hire. We can consider them for employment. Next slide. And basically, employment, we talked about the paid apprenticeship program. We talked about the DoD Skill Bridge program. Career Skills program is what the Army call it. DoD call it Skill Bridge. It's an umbrella. The DoD program is an umbrella for the services under the Department of Defense, like the Army, Air Force, Marine Corps, Navy, Coast Guard, etc. Um, but we talked about pretty much the different type of apprenticeship that we have, and we do partner with a nonprofit that provide the dairy grazers apprenticeship. And basically that's apprenticeship program open to veterans that want to get into the dairy industry. They have a beginning and advanced apprenticeship program in that particular apprenticeship. Next slide, please. And if you go on our website, we have a link that already filters the jobs that are available to vets and military spouses. So you can take a look at it and share those opportunities, or if you have opportunities that you want to share as part of your outreach to the community, you can do that as well. Next slide. Here's some employment resources that I mentioned earlier. Next slide. Special hiring authorities are the authorities that we use to hire veterans and military spouses non-competitively. Next slide. And at USDA, we have a goal of 25% of all new hires are vets. 1 out of every 4 new hires, we're expecting them to be veterans. 25% of the workforce, we're expecting to be veterans. Currently, we have 13%, and 10% of the workforce, we're wanting for them to be disabled veterans. And something will be added to this once we get the sign off from the secretary, is we're trying to put a 1% of the workforce to be military spouses. Next slide. These are the special hiring authority. The 30% or more disabled vet, the Veterans Recruitment Appointment, the Veterans Employment Opportunities Act, VEOA, Schedule A, and also their special hiring authority for military spouses, and derived preference for family members that are married to disabled vet or vets who are deceased. Next slide. And this is the VRA. I'm not going to read that whole slide, but it's a good authority to use. For example, in the DoD Skill Bridge that I mentioned, if you were to bring a veteran on to do an internship for like 3 to 4 months, when they separate out of the service, you can use this particular authority to hire that person non-competitively. Of course, they must qualify for the position without competition. You could use the VRA authority to hire them into positions up to GS11. This authority only go up to GS11 with a 2-year probationary period. And there are different ways people are eligible for this particular authority. And one of the biggest one is veterans separated from active duty. Within 3 years of separation, they will qualify for this authority. Next slide. The 30% or more disabled vet authority can be used to hire vets non-competitively from GS1 to GS15 if they qualify. They must qualify for the job. Then you can use the authority to hire the vets. Vets are not given a free handout, or they're not hired because of the authority or their disability or preference or anything else. They must qualify first, and then you can use the authority to hire. And hiring officials have that option to utilize these authorities. The authority is not a benefit for the veteran to say, hey, I'm 30% disabled, hire me for this position. It's on the hiring official whether they would like to utilize a non-competitive authority to hire a vet or not. And with the non-competitive authority, you don't have to post a job. You could say, Ram, we have a position, and you share the position with me. Let's say a GS7 in Fort Collins, Colorado, for an administrative assistant. And what I'll do is send it out to the VA or the different my network to get resume, and I'll send them to you. You can take a look at the resume, interview folks, the vet that I sent, the resume that I sent you, and if any one of them you think are a good fit, you after the interview you can uh, offer them the job. Of course, you have to work hand in hand with HR because HR have to qualify that person. Once that is done, then HR can send a tentative um, offer. And you could do this process. We have been doing this for a long time and fill a position within 21 days. That's how quick you can get it done. Next slide. The VEOA authority, this is when you advertise a job, these are usually for high skilled positions where you could open it to VEOA eligible. And basically this will give the veteran the opportunity to compete for the job just like anyone else. Vet have this flexibility, but you must talk to HR when you advertise a job and let them know you're interested in VEOA eligibles. These are like usually for a GS 13, 14, 15, you might want to use this authority. Next slide. Schedule A, it's a person with a disability. And also veterans are given Schedule A letters because the VA rating can rate a veteran 0%. If a veteran is 0% to 20%, then they will not qualify for the 30% or more disabled vet authority. So they will usually be issued a Schedule A letter where you can use the Schedule A letter to hire them into position that's above GS 11. So that's another authority. And of course, there's the spouse authority, derived preference authority, etc., that family members may have, or spouse of vets who are no longer with us. Next slide. We focus on education, and that's pathways, our different um, programs that we have under the historically black colleges and universities, the Hispanic Servant Institution, also tribal colleges and universities. These different scholarships that we have at USDA. It's amazing at the opportunities that are available. And I know that, where you can help is to ensure that when you do outreach, you target veterans like you're targeting, if you go to a certain college or university where you do outreach to fill positions, each and every one of those colleges and universities, they have students who are vets. Focus on them as well. Next slide. And basically, you know, And then RCS, of course, you would need, if you want a soil technician or a plant scientist, etc., the different types of soil science, the different things that you do. It is good to do outreach ahead of time, or if you're close to a military installation, to let folks know, hey, what sort of degree can I possibly um, enroll in now that will work towards me getting a internship or a pathways opportunity with an RCS when I complete my degree. It's good to know because a lot of vets don't know, and veterans usually have the GI Bill. They use it to, do certain degree plan that doesn't align or match up with our occupation at USDA. And, they'll have a degree in psychology or something, and they want to get into plant science. I'm like, well, I like the outdoors. Well, why didn't you think of that when you're signing up for your courses? So it's good to engage them early on the process and give them some good information that they can utilize their GI Bill strategically and align it with some of your occupation that they can enter into federal service. Next slide. We talked about the apprenticeship. A lot of farms through ATRA. ATRA is a nonprofit that we partner with, and they provide free apprenticeship training to vets on farms. So if you were to go on the ATRA website and do a search by state, it will list farms that offer free apprenticeship or training to veterans, basically to work on the farm and learn agriculture free of charge. And a lot of the farms will pay them a stipend, or also they'll provide room and board or meals, different type of options that they have. Next slide, please. And of course, we have scholarships at USDA that vets don't know. Next slide. Here are some of the resources we talked about. Next slide, please. Entrepreneurship. Next slide. So we highly encourage vets to get into ranching and farming to be the next generation of farmers in America to ensure that we continue to produce food to feed our nation and the world. And that's a strategy that um, we have been working on. There's a nonprofit that we partner with called the Farmer Veteran Coalition, and through the Farmer Veteran Coalition, it's a nonprofit that we partner with. Of course, they receive USDA grants as well, and they provide assistance to veterans to get into farming. And there are over 33,000 veteran farmers that's part of that organization, which is pretty amazing. And of course, the different opportunities that we have for vets, the micro loans, operating loans, farm ownership loans, and NRCS EQIP program, the Environmental Quality Incentives Program. I talked to a vet yesterday, and he was so excited because he went through the process, and he was able to utilize EQIP to begin farming and do what he's doing. He put in greenhouses where he's growing crops and selling his crops to stores and at the farmers market and the community already. And, I worked with this particular vet while he was still in the service transitioning. And yesterday he called me and told me, hey, I was able to get with NRCS enrolled and successfully utilizing the the Environmental Quality Incentives Program. So that, things like that, vets don't know about these things. And as that particular vet was transitioning out of the Army, I was in touch with him through the entire process, and now he owns a small farm. He started his business. He's going to college using his GI Bill farming at the same time and able to access equip. It's amazing. I'm like, man, it actually worked. Awesome. And I'm really impressed with NRCS and the service that you guys provide to the community. It is always top of the line, very responsive, or, every time it's like NRCS, you guys got it together. I like it. Next slide. And this is kind of like an example of, um, loans that have been given out, awarded to vets, specifically vets. And you can look at the amounts. It's pretty amazing. And these are things that we're doing that no one's measuring. We started measuring this and reporting on it. It's like telling the story. All these things we do at USDA is just amazing. Next slide. And of course, broadband is a challenge in rural communities. And actually, guess what? I'm rural and I'm on broadband right now, and it's working pretty good. And of course, distance learning, we capitalize on those programs as well. We turn it on to nonprofits that are utilizing these programs. Next slide. And of course, farming. I mean, I speak to veterans daily about wanting to get into farming. In fact, a veteran that's deployed on a ship in the Navy called me not yesterday, 2 days ago. And this particular veteran was asking me about getting a farm loan to purchase a farm in Virginia. So they're thinking ahead of time. They're contacting us ahead of time because, you know, I would say like maybe 5 years, 6 years ago, they didn't know about any of this stuff. But now we have the Military Veteran Agriculture Liaison Office. Veterans are calling me from stationed in Israel in the desert, Japan, Germany, Kuwait, uh, Belgium, Poland, England. These are actual calls that I get from these vets who are all over the world and all across the United States that now they know to call USDA. And we help them through the process. Sometimes it's very hard. It's very tough to navigate through it. Next slide. And of course, starting a business, talking veterans to business, talking to military spouses, how they can possibly get into business. How do you do it? Well, what's the first step? Hey, maybe you want to enroll in the Boots to Business program, which is free for transitioning service members, military spouses, and veterans. It's a 2-week course where they will go through the process and turn you on to resources and a business mentor to develop a business plan. After that, you can start an LLC and start a business, small scale. Run it for 12 months, or a farm, run it for 12 months. See if it's something you want to do and how you can expand it by getting a rural development business and industry loan, or a beginning ranching and farming loan, or participating in the EQIP program. Next slide. That's some of the things that the information that we provided. Next slide. Food insecurity, it's a reality among vets, and that's another program that we made it possible that veterans, when they go to the VA for a medical appointment, that they're screened for food insecurity. And if they're determined to be food insecure, the counselor or the primary care practitioner can ask them if they want to enroll and enroll them on the spot. That's something that we worked with VA. to assist the vets who are, facing that food insecurity issues. Next slide. And, so what can you do for vets? Vets, transitioning service member, and military spouses at USDA outreach. Let them know what's available, that they can participate in those programs. Please consider them for internship pathways, opportunities, employment, skill bridge opportunities. Consider them every time that you're doing outreach for whatever reason it is, focus on that. And also, you know, focus on veterans that are utilizing NRCS programs within your state to kind of, see where that stand. How does it look? I mean, who's using it, etc. So, Wendy, that's all I have. If there are questions, please, at this time, I could take a few. I see a lot of hands up. I hope those are not questions, or maybe they are questions. If you have a question, you could unmute and ask.
I know the two hands that are up, it's me and another veteran, so maybe we just
Okay.
still have our hands up from
Gotcha.
saying we're veterans.
Okay, got it. So if there aren't any questions, I just ask that vets are members of your community, your state, your workforce. All around you're surrounded by vets, and please let them know what NRCS has to offer in education, entrepreneurship, or employment, which is very important. Employment is very, very important for veterans because it's a stressor as they're transitioning. They want to get a job to continue to support for themselves and their family. And a lot of times, they're looking for a permanent job or an opportunity. You know, it's important that, a lot of times I tell my story that, hey, when I was growing up in New York City, I went to junior high and high school. And after high school, I didn't know what to do because I didn't know anything about any other programs. The only commercial that came in that talked about anything was the Be All You Can Be Army commercial. And my brother had served, so he encouraged me to serve, because I didn't have money to go to college, or I didn't know about any other programs. So I took the long route to USDA. There was a 24-year gap. Well, actually 24 plus 3. I worked in DOD after I retired, and then I came to USDA, and I love it. It's a great place to work. And I don't want to leave. So I thank you for this time and this opportunity to speak to you. And if there aren't any questions, I'll sign off at this time. So I thank you, Wendy. And Ms. Coleman, thank you very much for this opportunity.
Graham, thank you for taking the time today to reach out to our veterans, our hiring managers, and our staff in general about all the unique opportunities for veterans and the unique skill sets that veterans can offer. So very much appreciate the outreach, and thank you so much for participating today.
All right. Thank you again.
Thanks, and happy Memorial Day, everyone. Thanks. Bye.